Okay, so I don't have somebody available to actually teach a lesson to. So instead, I'm just going to be kind of talking about chapter 5 from the module 3 about like PE and making PE classes and just like classes in general inclusive for everybody, like including students who have disabilities, and like how to get them involved and included in a classroom with like typical students as well. So I'll talk about like that as if I'm talking to a student, I guess. And then I'll also like give an example of like a lesson and how I could make modifications to it so that it would be available for like students with disabilities as well. So first I would start by asking my students or coworker or whoever what inclusion is to them and what they think inclusion is, and like what it is. So I'd like let them talk about that first, and then I would tell them that inclusion is acceptance of like all individuals regardless if you have a disability or not, and it's literally like including them in the same classroom or activities or like whatever, school even, regardless of what disability they may have, whether that's like physical or intellectual disability. Like it doesn't matter, they're all like kind of included into the same thing and given the same attention and resources as everybody else. So like once I have talked to them about what inclusion is, I would talk to them about diversity and what makes people different and what makes people the same. And so I'd let them like talk amongst themselves for a little bit about diversity and what diversity is to them. And then I would like kind of tell them it's like race, religion, disability. Maybe they would have touched on disability since we talked about inclusion, gender, size, age, like stuff like that. And then I would continue and let them talk amongst themselves or like with a partner or whatever about what they have in common with other people or what they have like noticed are different about other people and themselves. So like maybe partner them up and be like, oh well, you're tall and I'm short, or like you're skinny and I'm not, or like we're both skinny, like stuff that they have in common, or we're both girls or whatever. And then like I would make sure that they know that that's important to like acknowledge the similarities and differences between people regardless of a disability. Because say you have one student with a disability who's like maybe in a wheelchair, for example, you don't want that person to feel like they're the elephant in the room or like something like that. You want them to like feel like they are one of everybody else and it's all the same. So like that's also a way to promote friendships, which is like the next thing. You want to make disability like feel comfortable and equal access to everybody, which I've kind of already said. So then into the PE setting of like school and teaching students like in inclusion schools, there's technically three types of PE settings, which is inclusive, which is where it's the general like physical education space and everybody's in that same room. And then non-inclusive, which is where the students with like a disability get to go to a different classroom and get like a modified version of the game or the activity that the other students are playing. So now on to like a lesson, like making a lesson that can be modified and like inclusive for everybody is obviously really important. So highly structured, like when you're making like a lesson, you want to make sure you have it step by step so that it's easy for students to also understand like as well. You want to have like strict rules that you make sure you keep up with and keep teaching students how to like understand those rules so that they know it too. Be consistent with everything you do, praise them often, and give them constant feedback. And also, most importantly, have realistic expectations. And doing all of that, like make sure that students with disabilities, regardless of what kind of disability they have, can all learn and like understand at the best of their personal ability. And then with blind students and deaf students, like if you have a game like, I don't know, tag or something, you could have the lights like off, or like freeze dance. That's a good one. Freeze dance. Have the music turn off and the lights turn off, or like the lights turn on, obviously with like emergency lights on too, so you can still see with the lights off, but have the lights turn off when the music stops, so that people who are blind can hear the music stop and people who are deaf can see the lights turn off so they know to stop as well. So my lesson example would be, or like what I would have my students do when modifying it, I guess, was kickball. So like everybody knows kickball. You like, it's like baseball, but you kick the ball and whatever. So I would have kickball be like indoor, so that after each like person kicks the ball, the lights would flicker or something like that for like the blind student, or the deaf, the lights would flicker for the deaf students. Sorry. And then I would have, instead of like a hard ball, maybe a soft ball. And then each time it's like somebody's turn to go, I would like call their name and say, okay, remember, you're gonna kick the ball. And then whoever's like rolling the ball, like as the pitcher, I would remind them, or like roll it softly and like remind all the students not to run. So that gives people who are like in a wheelchair or with a walker or something a lot more time to get from base, like first base to second base or whatever. So I'll kind of make it like a slower version, I guess, of like regular kickball, so that everybody kind of has access to do that, to like get to where they want to go without feeling too much pressure or like feeling like they can't do it kind of thing. And then regardless if somebody kicks the ball or not, you want to continuously give them praise for that as well. So anyways, that's my like lesson, I guess, for module 3. So yeah, okay.